Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ashirwad Patnaik, the Banking and Financial Services Data and Analytics Vertical Lead at Tech Mahindra. And I welcome all of you for the data dialogue session of today, Sustainability, the Way Forward. Now, in today's world, the term sustainability has gained a lot of importance among organizational, economic, as well as political forums. In today's session, we'll discuss the various aspects of sustainability, its implications, importance for organizations, as well as possible action points. To that end, I'd like to take this time to welcome our speakers of today, Mr. Saurabh Jha, Global Head of Data and Analytics at Tech Mahindra, and Mr. Pavankumar, Senior Vice President, Global Head for Indirect Business at Altair. Saurabh and Pavan, thanks to both of you for taking time out for my busy schedules for today for this session of sustainability. And without any further ado, let's get on to the first point of our discussion. Gentlemen, as per you, what is your definition of sustainability and what do you think are its implications for various industries? Pavan, if you'd like to do the honors and start first.
Thanks, Ashirwad. I think we all agree today that the biggest impact on the environment is coming from human activity. So, when I talk human activity, if we can do more with less, that would be the starting point of almost everything. Can we produce more food grains with less inputs, less water, less fertilizer, etc.? Can we make a car with less steel? Can we help supercomputers perform better with less electricity? That's what I mean by do more with less. At the same time, I think there are some methods and techniques that we can adopt, especially electrification, both for auto, aero, and all the other mobility devices that we use today. I would advocate moving faster into that domain. And lastly, we all agree that data science has a transformational role in making sure that sustainable goals can be achieved. The data is gold today. It's probably the future oil, as some of them call it, and we have the ability to democratize that data, make it available to all the users, thinkers, and engineers out there. So I would think that this would be the definition of sustainability from my side. I know there are many of them. This is one of those, I would say, takes on sustainability.
Thanks for those initial starting points, Pavan. Saurabh, what is your take on the same and any contrasting or supporting views?
No, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with Pawan here. And see, I'll just take it a little beyond that. So what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, this subsumes into the larger talk about the future of our planet, right? At the end of and that comes under the umbrella of what we know as ESG. And we know that there's a lot of conversation amongst countries in the large forums around ESG, sustainability in general. And the way I look at it, it's not something that an individual, one organization, or one government can do it single-handedly, especially considering that it's something to be done at the scale of our planet. So the way I look at it, on one side, you have individuals who have to be responsible. On the other side, you will need bodies, regulators, governments who need to make sure that that people are responsibly doing it. And on the third side, the ecosystem of businesses, they need to ensure or kind of monitor each other, like for example, when we talk about banking sector, right? They invest in other industries. So they also need to take sustainability scores into account before they invest in a particular company. So that will make the other company more accountable. Similarly, manufacturing, of course, they have to control their own sustainability, pick one particular manufacturing firm. But in order to ensure that others are also behaving responsibly, they can, for example, choose their suppliers based on their sustainability scores, right? On the other hand, and of course, all of this comes under the larger realm of how to regulate each other, which we will talk. But I think it goes all the way from an individual, from myself. I mean, how do I, for example, use, for a simple use cases, how do I use the data available to me, right? I mean, do I use it sustainably? How do I use, paper products, for example? How do I use plastic, for example? It starts with such small things, and it goes all the way up to a large industry or even a country. So in my mind, sustainability is something, just like in a corporation, you have a balanced scorecard which flows from top to bottom. And here at the top level, we are looking at, our planet, and at the bottom level is an individual. And it has to be the responsibility of every single player in this ecosystem. So that's the way I look at sustainability, Ashwin.
Pavan and Saurabh, thanks for that interesting takeoff for our discussion for today. And with that, I'll immediately get into the basics of sustainability or the implications of it. What, according to you, gentlemen, are the challenges or constraints which organizations face when they embark or they start on the path of sustainability? Saurabh, would you like to mention your views on the same?
I think the biggest challenge for most organizations or individuals or anybody is, where do I start? Let's look at data privacy. Okay, when an organization is told that you need to focus on data privacy, now at least there are certain regulations which have been which have been created. You have GDPR and so on, so they know where to start. There is a certain framework that they have to follow. If you look at let's say, for example, banking, right? You have something like a BCBS, so that's again a framework which people can follow. But for sustainability, right now there is absolutely no commonly agreed or defined framework globally, either at a country level, nor at an industry level, nor not an organization level, and definitely not at an individual level, that has been defined. So we all talk about sustainability. We all have different interpretations of it. But whether at an individual or at an organization level, there is absolutely no idea of, number one, where to start, number two, what to measure, how to measure, and so on and so forth. So that a common understanding, a common framework which can be agreed upon, that in my mind would be a great start, and that will help everyone in terms of sustainability.
Pavan, according to you and based on your experience within the industry, what are the challenges do you feel like organizations face to achieve the sustainability?
Yeah, in addition to what Saurabh very nicely put across, that there's no common framework, I think there are some other issues which come in the way of an organization achieving its sustainability goals. I think the first and foremost is the feeling or the thought that sustainability goals are incredibly hard to achieve and require ton loads of cash to do so. And it's not actually very true. There can be small incremental changes that can be made either in a process efficiency or for adopting the right technology or the right mindset. I think bringing that sustainability message into the ecosystem, into the psyche of the people and the organization is the first step out there. The second one, I would call it, is inertia. None of us want to change from what we have done all these years. Change is always tough. If we did a process in a particular way and we got a certain quality out of it, we would like to stick to the same. We don't want to change as much as possible. And of the last, but I think most important aspect is to align the business goals and the sustainability goals together in an organization. Oftentimes, the C-level talks of sustainability. The understanding at the bottom of the pyramid is something else very different. And this aligning of business goals, I think, is the third difficult and very most difficult part of this journey. Whoever has done that has successfully achieved their sustainability goals.
We have to start, and like Pavan was saying, the first buy-in has to be at the top, right, with the CXOs. Then actually, and I was just thinking, so when we come down to different departments, right, because again, adding to what Pavan said, that there are certain ways in which things have been done. You look at operations department in a manufacturing company or in an oil company, probably some of the most unsustainable practices have been followed in the last 100 years, so they have to change drastically. If you look at IT, we have been used to these data centers and all kind of servers which are running 24/7. We keep on adding to the volume in terms of processing, in terms of storing data, especially coming from a data analytics background. We know how much power is being used, right, to keep these servers running day in and day out. And now, let me make it a little contemporary as well. Generative AI, which has caught everyone's imagination in the last 1 year. The amount of energy which goes in, the GPUs, just to train a model. And now, it's not enough that 1 or 2 or 3 companies have trained their models using so much energy. Everybody wants to create their own large language model now. And while we talk about, what we are talking about is how much GPU power and how much power is being used, but nobody is talking about what a colossal wastage it is, right? So there is absolutely, and all of this is happening primarily because there is no cooperation. So everybody wants their own way, everybody wants to do things their own way, waste the same energy all over again. Look at what happened with Bitcoin mining, for example. So it's very easy to point out, point fingers at traditional industries like, manufacturing, oil, and so on. But even modern industries, so to say, your AI, data, and analytics kind of industries, I think they are using up energy in very unsustainable ways.
Even
And
high tech, sort of, even high tech
yes,
industry.
absolutely high tech industry, right? And there aren't too many conversations around it. So I think these are some of the factors we need to keep in mind, and the dialogue has to be much wider than just saying, okay, manufacturing and oil and gas, which release so much smoke. We may not be releasing black smoke, but we are definitely releasing a lot of heat into the environment. So
That's an interesting take, Saurav. So, Pavan, these were very interesting points as well as yours, Saurav. So, what we can take away from our data dialogue discussion till now is, so there is one, not a single standardization, and even product design or even organizational inertia needs to change. So we have set the background about what sustainability means, how it's to be incorporated in a corporate parlance. But then let's get on to a third question. So in order to break this inertia, in order to focus on product design, or even talk in a standardized language, what, according to you, gentlemen, are the tools or technologies which would definitely assist or help organizations in moving on to this path of sustainability in a more focused fashion? Saurav, would you like to share your points on the same?
sure. So see, in terms of what tools and technologies can be used, so the way I look at it, see, every industry will have to look at different sets of tools and technologies. And in order to manage sustainability, first they will have to measure sustainability, right? Which means every individual, and there are again two ways to do it. So one is, okay, let's talk about self-managing first. So let's say as a company, whether I'm an IT company, high-tech company, manufacturing, or oil, if as a CEO, I have decided that my company needs to be sustainable and I want to move in that direction, first is, of course, because like I said, there is no regulation, so I'll have to create my own regulation, at least, in a common understanding with my industry peers, if not everyone else, that, okay, these are the 10, 15, 20 factors which we need to focus on. This is where we are today, and this is where we need to go. Now, the moment you talk about measurements, you're talking about a lot of data, a lot of analytics, a lot of AI in terms of figuring out, where you are, and if you make these changes, where will you reach, and so on and so forth. So, and again, I mean, I know I'm a data analytics professional, but you will need a lot of data analytics tools and technologies to actually measure this and keep on moving in that direction. So that is one part of it. So like I said, defining KPIs, measuring it, and slowly you continue moving in that direction. The other is, and which not every industry can do, but which is to keep a track of what is happening in my ecosystem of companies. So if I'm a bank, I would like to gather data continuously, for example, of everybody that I lend to, everybody that I interact with, so that as a principal, uh, you know, even if I lend to companies which are not very sustainable, I charge a high interest rate, for example, right? So it's just like, for example, insurance companies can charge higher premium to drivers who are more careless or prone to accidents. So it's something similar, right? So you change your interest rate based on their sustainability, and in a completely transparent way, that, okay, these are 5 companies, this is their score, and hence this is my interest rate. And I already gave the example of a manufacturing company, for example. They have suppliers. So based on the sustainability scores, either they pay lower charges to the goods from non-sustainable suppliers. So for all of these things, again, I need a lot of data. I need to do a lot of analytics. I need to ensure that my decisions are right, and so on and so forth. So yes, you definitely need tools and technologies to be able to track. And there are a lot of tools and technologies available out there. So these are the kind of things, Ashirwad, that will be required.
I agree, Saurabh. So a lot of asset management firms have actually started doing it in their valuation as well as insurance companies in the undertaking. Now, Pavan, we have set up an interesting background, but as part of Altair, which is a niche provider in AI technologies, as well as a lot of OEM AI products, what is your take on this? What are the tools and technologies that help in achieving sustainability?
Thanks, Ashirwad. I think all of us made some very interesting points here. So I would argue that almost all tools and technologies that Altair has created over the past 20, 25 years have all been focused on reducing the ecological footprint. But that's a very wide statement. Instead of saying all the tools, let me pick on a couple of them that I think are closer to where we are. Saurabh, a little while ago, talked about data centers and the increasing power consumption and the heat that they are generating, which is very, very true. If everybody around the world creates their own LLMs and all the stuff that they're talking about, the power requirement is phenomenal. And this is one area we can help. Altair is a leader in high performance computing and especially on scheduling. And we have capabilities for green provisioning of the system. We can make sure that only the required amount of resources are required or used up for a specific task. Maybe get the power at a different time of the day to reduce costs, so on and so forth. Similarly, we have some other tools that I would like to highlight in this dialogue with both of you gentlemen. I would think first and foremost would be the Altair's digital twin solution, which is highly differentiated. It leverages the convergence of simulation, high performance computing, and AI all together to either do it in a 1D environment or a 3D environment. It delivers transformational power in my view. I would say it will help you predict, get your solutions there faster, maybe create maintenance solutions which will enable you to stock lesser, travel the lesser distance, so on and so forth, all going towards reducing carbon and waste emissions. The second one, I think, again, Saurabh briefly alluded to that. Data science has enormous power in helping organizations achieve sustainability goals. But today, it has remained in the hands of a few elite data scientists. If we can take it out and move it over to the users, the everyday people in every organization, which I refer to as democratization. And I came across this term recently, frictionless AI. I think that would be something that makes all the difference. Make sure that adoption of AI becomes so frictionless that it works across the organization. The third one I would is the flagship tool set from Altair, which is not in the data and the artificial intelligence space, but more in the regular simulation space called OptiStruct, which is a tool which has helped over the years to reduce material usage in all types of products that we use, whether it be the car we drive or the scooter that we ride or the plane that we fly on. Almost everybody has been using this tool set to reduce the material, still meet the goals of the product performance. Lastly, I will touch upon one thing that Saurabh again was mentioning about, we normally look at the steel industry or the cement industry as the most polluting body out there. But many of them are taking huge strides towards reducing the carbon emissions, reducing the impact of it. And we have a tool set which is very, very unique, which is called discrete element modeling. The tool is called Eden, which actually helps simulate the granular substances that they're dealing with, whether it be rocks or calcium or whatever else that goes into the process. This helps improve process efficiency and performance at the same time. And many of the organized steel companies around the world who've been using this technology from us have actually attested and given us testimonials that they really are saving a lot of carbon emissions thanks to these tools. So I'll stop at that. I don't want to keep on going. There are many, many tools out there. As I said, almost our complete tool set is geared towards doing more with less.
Thanks for that interesting take, Pawan. Those are very good points about data democratization. And there's a very new term that has come in, actually, like economic value of data or data economy itself. How exactly data is being used by different people in an organization or maybe outside of organizations. Now, gentlemen, we have talked about sustainability, its various constraints, what are the challenges faced in it, what are the tools and technologies. But if you consider the sustainability ecosystem, which according to you are the various stakeholders in the sustainability ecosystem? And considering your experience with the industry or your exposure till now to sustainability, what do you think is the way forward? Pawan, would you like to take this first?
Sure. I think for any organization, there are both direct and indirect stakeholders. The direct stakeholders would be obviously the shareholders, the managers, the employees, the customers, and your suppliers. Uh, these are all stakeholders directly involved in your sustainability journey. The secondary stakeholders, on the other hand, would be those who are indirectly impacted, the community that we service, the community we live in. But all of them play a very significant role in the sustainability journey. We need to combine all the divergent viewpoints and make sure that we converge on the sustainability goal that we need to achieve. On a macro level, I would think there are other stakeholders too who are probably not part of this example I gave you, like the NGOs, the media, the business partners that we deal with. I already spoke about the communities that we serve and we live in, but this is what I would think are the direct and indirect stakeholders in the journey.
Saurabh, your take on the same?
Has to be, and you have UN, you have G20s and G7s and BRICS of the world. Somebody has to start this journey, right? And they have to come up with a regulation. Or, take the example of GDPR. One continent started it, or European Union started, and suddenly that kind of became the gold standard. So that is a definite something that is required. While that comes up, in the meantime, industries are the next big bodies, right? So in industries, for example, let me take my own industry. So I'm from an IT services industry, what we call as GSIs. So for us, what we can do is two things. One is internal, right? How do we, for example, make our business sustainable at a company level, at an individual level, across different departments? How we provide service to our customers, and what Pavan started off early on with, saying that we do more with less. And that, I think, that is something which has been an effort in this industry forever, and that continues. I see a lot of effort in this direction within Tech Mahindra as well. And the other thing we can do as Tech Mahindra is help other companies do two things. One is measure, and other is also improve, right? At least in the areas that we touch upon with other companies. So whether it is in terms of sustainability consulting, tracking, including I'm not only limiting to areas of AI, data analytics, across every area. When we call digital, the whole digital ecosystem, how to make it more sustainable, right? I'm not only at the user interface level, but the other areas that I was mentioning, at the computing level, processing level, data storage, data processing, and so on and so forth. So that consulting, implementation, tooling, various tools that we spoke about earlier, all of those areas are something where companies like us can help. Then, of course, you have the whole startup ecosystem. I think they are going to be very, very important in terms of coming up with much more innovative ways of doing complex things in a simple manner. So that's another ecosystem, I think, which will have to come up with more ideas, right, for sustainability. And finally, I think a large responsibility, especially when it comes to IT and digital and data in general, is the hyperscalers, right? Because today, the direction in which we are going, the hyperscalers are becoming the IT department for the world, so to say, right? So, and if it is going to be concentrated in the hands of 3, 4, 5 people, they have to be super sustainable, because that will at least ensure that the tech side of every organization is sustainable. And then, of course, there are other areas within every organization. I'm not saying it's only the tech side, but these hyperscalers again have to ensure that they are very, very sustainable in whatever workload they are carrying for thousands of organizations across the world, right? So they are going to play a very, very important role. In addition to that, I think the other thing is, we keep on talking about literacy, right? Business literacy, data literacy, AI literacy, and so on. Similarly, sustainability literacy is very, very important. So there has to be some kind of education, certification, around this, which should be provided at an organization level, at an employee level, and so on. So that awareness, because today, whatever said and done, even in organizations, this is a very boardroom discussion, right? If I ask a random person in a company, what are you doing for sustainability? I'm pretty sure, the awareness levels would be very, very low, if at all they have even heard of these initiatives. So that education, that literacy, just like we talk very passionately about, making them literate on AI, data, digital side, the making them literate on sustainability, I think, is a very, very important task, and it falls directly, on the organization to do it at least across all of their employees. So that would be a good place to start. And then, of course, schools, right? Because that's where the kids form their mindset. So multiple players, Ashirwad. So it's not something that one single individual or an organization or a country can do. So everybody has to come together and get this in place.
That's really amazing, Saurabh and Pavan. We have time for just one final question, and it's very specific to your professional capacities. Within your specific organizations or your business units, how do you see the path for sustainability being paved? Pavan, since Altair is a niche player and you just mentioned about a new product altogether, would you like to talk about how exactly the path has been paved in your organization till now, and what is the way forward for sustainability?
Thanks, Ashirwad. As I pointed out earlier, we started contributing towards sustainable designs and outcomes even before we knew we were doing it. We were actually working towards reducing resource usage, uh, primarily as a way of increasing profits. But if you take the journey further along, reducing material, increasing efficiency of a process, all go towards contributing to a smaller carbon footprint. So I think we will continue to progress along this path. We want to create the ideal frictionless AI systems to adopt our technology faster so that the organizations can reach their sustainability goals. There's a lot of data out there which can really help them arrive at the right answers faster. We want to adopt sustainable practices even within our limited scope of software development. We are probably not the size of Tech Mahindra with the number of employees, but all of us, as I started off by saying, incremental changes make a big difference as we move forward. If all of us can contribute, reduce the footprint, maybe do more with less, even in software development, we will be there. Lastly, I would say align organizational goals and business goals for a sustainable future plan. It's all about alignment out there. So I would think that continue the path that we took in the past, make sure that our tools and technologies are available, democratize the usage of those things, allow frictionless adoption of all the tool sets, both simulation and AI tool sets, adopt simple practices. I think that's the summary of what I would say.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Pawan. Sort of within Tech Mahindra itself or within your own data and analytics business unit, how do you see the path of sustainability being paved?
First of all, we have a dedicated office and a sustainability officer within Tech Mahindra. That's number one. Number two, TechM is the only Indian company in the world to receive, His Royal Highness. It's a Prince of Wales terracotta seal commitment to creating a sustainable future. Third, we were ranked number one in the S&P Global Sustainability Yearbook in the IT services segment. So I think in terms of achievements, we have done quite a bit. We have also implemented a carbon price to reduce greenhouse gases emissions and invested in various sustainability projects. Right? So as you can see, having received, I'm being number one in S&P, as you can imagine, is not easy. Having received HRH from Prince of Wales. So, and it did not start today. This has been over the past many years. There has been a continuous focus on sustainability. And like I said, amongst the hundreds of stakeholders, the organization itself is one big stakeholder. And we have taken all the right directions, towards a sustainable future within Tech Mahindra. Now, the other thing that we are doing, so this is all that we have achieved with Tech Mahindra as an organization. The other thing that we are very focused on is how can we help other organizations become sustainable? So and I've mentioned this a little while earlier, which is around whether, it's through consulting, it's through coming up with solutions for different industries, right? And IT-enabled solutions, whether it's for banking, manufacturing, or oil and gas, and so on. So that's another area that we're doing. Supply chain, a very, very big area, and we have a huge investment that we are making in creating a sustainable supply chain solution. And that's one solution that, as you know, cuts across multiple industries, whether it's pharma, whether it's manufacturing, and so on and so forth, right? So, and of course, at the end of the day, in order to measure everything, the whole ESG reporting aspect, where of course data and analytics, again, which is my practice, plays a fairly big role. So these are all the various things that TechM is doing. I would say that, at an individual organization level, there is a lot of focus. We have achieved quite a bit, but of course the journey does not stop. I think this is just the beginning. And yeah, so these are the various things, Ashirwad.
Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. But the whole idea of this conversation was to get the important topic of sustainability moving forward within the broader ecosystem as well as across enterprise and across, you could say, your entire geographies altogether. Pavan and Saurabh, I'd like to thank you both for those amazing talking points. And I do hope this data dialogue session is educative as well as interesting for our audience, just as much as it has been for me. With that, I thank you all. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashirwad, and thank you, Pavan.
Thanks, Saurabh and Ashirwad. Take care.
Thanks.